וידאו כזה עוד לא היה. שיחה מרתקת בין רוס גרבר, מי שהקים את GK Wealth Investment, חברת השקעות שיש לו גם ETF, ואייל שמילוביץ שעובד איתו, ואני כמובן, על מצב השוק, על בועה, האם אנחנו בבועה או לא, האם המניות יקרות או לא, על קריפטו, על טסלה, על הרבה מאוד דברים. הוידאו יחולק בהתאם לשאלות, כך שתוכלו לרוץ לשאלות שמעניינות אתכם, ויהיו כתוביות שאני ממש מקווה שהמחשב תרגם באופן אוטומטי בצורה מספיק טובה. אז כן, יכול להיות שיהיו גם בדיחות ויהיו כל מיני מילים לא מתאימות, אבל בסך הכל זה יאפשר לכמה שיותר אנשים לראות את באמת הוידאו והשיחה המרתקת הזאת בינם לביני. אז מוכנים לזה? קדימה, מתחילים. Hey guys, so today we have two special guests on our show. One of them is Ross Gerber, which we've seen on several videos, and on his Twitter account we follow and we show a lot of things that he talks about. He found a few years ago, and we'll hear from him, GK Wealth Investment. It's an investment firm, and of course he's going to talk more about that. And Eyal Shmilovich, which works with Ross and helping customers, and from the name you can probably understand that he has an Israeli background. We'll probably hear from him as well. We're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about the bubble. Is there a bubble or not? We're going to talk about crypto, Tesla, maybe other investments, ETFs, of course. They have a new ETF, a lot of things. So let me introduce Ross and Eyal. Let me just add both of them to the stream. And oh, sorry, I need to do it probably this way.
Oh, there we go.
Excellent. So hi, Ross. Hi, Eyal. Great having you on our show. And I'll even say you're the first real guests that I have that I don't just take clips from. So just show everyone that you are live and it's not something me manipulating behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's some good dance.
My Tesla dance. That's my when Tesla goes up dance. Yeah.
Excellent. So Ross, probably you can start and go through GK Wealth Investment. I think I probably pronounced it correctly.
Well, thanks for having us. It's Gerber Kawasaki, Wealth and Investment Management. My name's Ross Gerber. I'm the founder, co-founder with my partner, Danilo Kawasaki. And Eyal is also a partner of the firm and has been around since day one or pre-day one. And, you know, we built our company over the last now 11 years from about 30 million in assets, which were basically my assets when I left my other firm to start GK, which was in the post-financial crisis era. So we started the firm in 2010, and it was post-financial crisis. And, you know, my partner and I realized that new brands needed to be formed. You know, ironically, I was kind of distressed by the fall of Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns and many of these companies because they were founded by Jews. And, you know, they had these Jewish names in the names, and they became some of the most prominent firms on Wall Street. And when they started going down, I was like, man, you know, this is not only a horrible thing for finance, but it's kind of like the end of this era. And so we were like, what should our name be? Should we be like the stock company or whatever, you know? And we're like, we should just, well, my name was Gerber, so it was like baby food, and his was Kawasaki, which was like motorcycles. And we're like, well, we're already named brands, but it would be nice to have a firm again in the traditional naming of like Gerber Kawasaki, and me being Jewish, is a half Jewish, you know, firm.
Yeah.
But, you know, so we started the firm with the idea of how do we leverage technology to help a broader group of people to provide financial advice to everybody, ideally globally, using the internet and social media as a way to reach a larger group of people. And that, at the time in 2010, that was actually a big deal because Facebook was new. We were the first firm on Facebook and grew, you know, very, very fast on Facebook when Facebook was fun and cool during that brief period of time. And then, you know, I was one of the first financial people really tweeting on Twitter, Yelp, all the other platforms, Instagram. And we built this over time. And then also through traditional media, I've been on, you know, I'm on every channel and whatever. And actually what I've learned in the last several years is the power of social media is about 50x the power of traditional media. And that's why we've grown to the firm we are today with over $2 billion in assets and 8,000 clients, 41 employees, and as well as a crypto division, a tax and accounting division, and an international division that can serve clients all over the world, including Israel. And now our ETF, which we launched in July, symbol GK on the New York Stock Exchange. And I can't tell you what an amazing thing. You know, my great grandfather came from Lithuania and Romania and Ukraine. My family to the United States. We were victims of the pogroms in Russia and in Eastern Europe, and they came to America. My great grandfather, I think it was 1917, I think it was. And I went to Ellis Island years ago and saw his name on the manifest. So to go to the New York, and he used to sleep, you know, on pool tables and sweep the bars in New York, like many Jewish immigrants of that time. And it just, I can't tell you how cool it was to ring the bell in the New York Stock Exchange down the street from where my grandfather came on a boat 100 years before, you know. So so that's you know, Gerber Kawasaki. You know, our goal is to help people now all over the world build better futures and outcomes for themselves through financial planning and investing in the U.S. stock market. So that's what we do. Eyal's a partner of mine. Maybe you want to go through your background a little bit, Eyal?
Sure. Thanks, Ross. It's great to be on. Yeah, my name is Eyal. Like Micha said, as you can tell, I do have an Israeli background. My entire family is from Israel. I'm actually the first.
That counts.
Yeah, I'm actually the first one born here. Both my brothers were born in Israel. You can see part of it in my background. The picture behind me is actually a picture of the Tel Aviv coastline. So Israel is very near and dear to my heart.
Let's see if we can see it this way. Yeah, I changed the view. No, we
can
can only see the corner.
You're gonna go take it down.
Now we can see.
There you go. You see the coast. So yeah, you know, I was actually supposed to be in Israel right now, but had to cancel, unfortunately, thanks to Delta. But you know, again, like Ross was saying, you know, I got into this job to help people, not just you know, not just billionaires. Become, you know, 10 billionaires. You know, we really have something special here at Gerber Kawasaki and bringing financial planning to everyone. And, you know, I wanted to find a way to bring to the people of Israel also. And Ross and I have been brainstorming ways to do that in the past. So Micha, thank you for bringing this to us. You know, it seems that our views are aligned, our interests are aligned. We want to help basically everybody. And that's if you have, you know, $5,000 to invest or $5 million, we're here to help you. So I'm one of the partners here at the firm. Like Ross said, I was here since
and a Hebrew speaker, you know,
and a Hebrew speaker,
right?
So
he has to show off, you know.
Yeah, exactly. He has to practice the Hebrew.
I can say shalom.
I have to bring the people what they want. So yeah,
come on, Ross. You can say Shana Tova as well.
Yeah, it's Shana Tova. It is. We just started, you know, a new year.
Yeah. So,
excellent. And I think that's part of what attracted me to at least reach out to you guys is the fact that, and that's relatively, I would say, unique. Not relatively, it's unique. The fact that you don't basically care about the wallet size that the person steps in and uses your services. I'm not talking about the ETF. We're going to talk about the ETF.
I would actually even reverse that statement. We look at it the exact opposite. How is somebody supposed to have money if nobody shows them how to have money?
Exactly.
Okay. So if I meet you when you're 25 years old and you got your first job and you're saving money and you don't know what to do with it, instead of putting, is there still Bank Lumi? You know, instead of putting a Bank Lumi at 1% or whatever.
Yeah,
it's probably the same bank. It's probably the same guy's been running the same bank in Israel for 7,000 years. He's probably Moses. And like, so you got Moses running Bank Lumi at 2%, or you can invest in some of the most innovative technology companies, many of which come from Israel, which is kind of crazy because Israel has some of the most innovative technology companies in the world, not just technology too. And yet, you know, there's this cross between socialism and capitalism in Israel. And that's where I think we're really trying to say, we're going to help you get started, build your financial future. So when you're 35, you have money. And when you're 45, you're going to have a bunch of money. And then you're a really good client of ours as far as economically. So we're investing in our clients, just like our clients are investing with us. And we know, because I've been doing this now 28 years, that and I was that 23-year-old when I started in the business, practice what I preach. It's made me quite wealthy relative to most people. And, you know, it's not rocket science, you know, it's like Apple and Microsoft and Tesla, you know, it's not, we don't have a secret formula here. And so what we're trying to teach people are habits that build wealth so that they become higher net worth clients. So we have a program. You start off at our Get Invested program, our wealth building. We help you build. Then you join our wealth management program when you have a decent amount of assets. It gets more complicated. Maybe you get married and have kids. And then ideally you graduate to our high net worth program when you're ready to retire and you built up your assets over the 30, 40 years of your life. And now you got millions of dollars. And if you do this right, it works.
I totally agree. And, you know, that's part of why we have this channel, to educate as many people, let's call it democratize knowledge in a way that it's positive and accurate facts. And, you know, you talked about several companies, but one of the biggest questions I see in the comments, and I love the fact that my viewers write tons of comments. I think it's one of the most commented channel out there.
Well, you know, it's choosing money if you don't get comments.
And fear is the best motivator. People are afraid that, you know, the market is expensive. You know, they hear all these naysayers say, oh, the market is expensive. Look at the prices. Everything is expensive. It's a huge bubble. It's going to burst and you're going to lose all your money. And, you know, I keep saying I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a character on YouTube, but you guys are. So, you know, it would be great hearing from real financial advisors. Is everything expensive, or maybe it's not expensive? Is the stock market
you think stocks are expensive? You think stocks are expensive? What does it cost to buy a condo in Tel Aviv? Okay, all right. So let's be real. What's expensive or not? Because I live in the Palisades, and a house is absurdly expensive. Yeah. So any house, okay, you know. So like stocks are actually super cheap relative to real estate, okay? Because most real estate is a piece of crap. You're buying an old building that's fallen down and you're overpaying. We literally, like, I have this music studio in Malibu that's in this house and it just got sold for $8 million. The person bought it for $5 million 2 years ago and we've been renting it from them. And it's a piece of I mean, we've been partying in this house for 2 years. And I'm like, who would pay $8 million for nothing, you know, for a piece of land? That's so stocks that earn income, for example, like Apple, and pay dividends, and you look at their valuations, which are high historically, but what are you getting when you buy a stock? You're getting the business. And when you think about a company like Apple, for example, and their dominance in the markets that they're in, whether it be cell phones or whether it's services and gaming or, you know, television, ear headsets, whatever, it's a gold mine company. So when you think about owning something that for the next 20 years is going to produce more and more income and distribute that all to its owners, this is a way better investment than a house or an apartment. This is a huge opportunity. And if you look at Apple's long-term performance over even market crashes, because that was the only stock I bought in 2008 when the market crashed, was Apple. It was the only stock I had any confidence to buy. Okay,
no, we just showed it a few weeks ago. I think since Tim Cook stepped in as CEO, Apple stock grew by over 1,000%.
Yeah, and at the time,
a week ago, and it's still going up.
And at the time, Steve Jobs had died, which is really the equivalent of like Elon Musk dying. You know what I mean? And so like my clients called in panic. You know, like, are we selling all our Apple? And I said, listen, this Tim Cook's pretty good and the innovations are amazing and we got to give him a chance. And that was 10 years ago. And it's been hugely lucrative because that was our largest holding at that time. And it still is, I think, our number 2 or 3 holding today. And so when you think about the wealth that's been created just in a company like Apple alone, for me and my clients and for many others, you got to be an investor long-term. So it's a much better investment than real estate, much less expensive than investing in real estate, has much more upside potential as it produces income and gains. But I think one of the things I think people have to understand about fear, okay? fear serves no purpose. Okay. It's a defense mechanism that's created for your safety in your brain. Okay. But it is often wildly inaccurate in its assessment of risk. Okay. And you see this every day with like people crossing the road in Tel Aviv, for example, and they don't realize Israeli drivers will run you over. And I'm sure it happens all the time in Israel, right?
Yeah.
The number one risk we have as humans is related to cars. Okay. Getting run over or crashing and dying in a car. Most people don't even really assess this in any way. You know what I mean? And so how we value risk, we're scared of a stock market crash, but we're running across Tel Aviv Avenue. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, your assessment of risk is very incorrect. Okay. So I've been through the worst stock market crash and the worst 10 years in the history of the stock market as an investor. And quite frankly, we did okay. Okay. Now, during the crash, sucked, lost a lot of money. You hold on, you ride it out, things get better, and then you make back all your money. Now, when the financial crisis happened, I thought it would take me 5 years to make back all my money. I thought it was going to take forever. You know, I was like, we're done. You know, like it's going to take forever to make this back. And it was a legitimate crisis and crash caused by immense greed from the banking system.
Yeah.
It took 18 months. It took 18 months. The fastest was 2019. 2019 was a disaster. The market crashed. I mean, America was shut down. I've never seen it. People fighting for toilet paper, you know, the whole thing. And the market went down 35%, rightfully. And the Fed stepped in and did everything they needed to do to back every asset and said, we will not let this country go bankrupt. And the market recovered. It was the shortest recession in American history, but it's been the worst disaster for this country that we've seen in my lifetime, okay, since 9/11. And so when you think about the death, it doesn't even compare to 9/11, you know, and the hardship on people doesn't even compare to 9/11. So this is the worst period of time, and yet we have the strongest economy I've ever seen right now.
And I think that goes to the narrative of you using that several times in several shows that I've seen, and also on your account, talking about the Roaring 20s and connecting that to your ETF, the new ETF that you launched. And I personally am invested in it. Full disclosure.
No, that's good.
I like the companies inside. I actually showed them. I showed them alongside with RK, and we often talk about the differences in ETFs.
Yeah,
because ETF is a good vehicle for investment, for long-term investment instead of stock picking, which we, the retail investors, don't always have the ability to really stock pick. Maybe in 2020 it worked great because even if you didn't know anything, it went up.
Right.
2021 as of February, kind of not. And, you know, kind of taking the whole view on the market and launching an ETF. Can you share with us, first of all, you talked about the excitement of ringing the bell in New York, but also kind of the thought process behind building an ETF.
So the ETF was a byproduct of the fact for two things that were happening. One was because we have so many smaller clients, if you invest, let's say $50,000 with me and we're buying stocks, it's like really hard. So we were using other ETFs to sort of mimic the exposure that we wanted our clients to have. So we have like 9 major themes that we're invested in. And within these 9, can you get me some water? Within these 9 themes, it's like we would pick 9 different ETFs or some stocks and some ETFs. And so it was like a really cumbersome way to manage smaller accounts for our clients. And then they weren't really getting the exact exposure that we wanted. It was very similar.
Yeah.
Our high net worth clients who had, let's say, $3 million with us, I can buy 30 or 40 different stocks and positions and diversify a portfolio and really build something beautiful for them. And we were like, why don't we build something that would be the same beauty for everybody instead of using all these other ETFs and kind of, you know, it's like building Legos kind of, you know? Yeah. And so we're like, okay, that's one thing. But then what really hit me was that there's a tax advantage with ETFs. So let's say, like, I manage my own account personally and I own 40 stocks or 30 stocks, let's say, okay? And I own Tesla. Well, Tesla went up 1,000% and now it's 20% of my portfolio, right?
Yeah.
So I had to trim some of my Tesla just out of prudence, and also I wanted to buy a Tesla Plaid, and I wanted to buy a house.
Don't ruin the next question. Come on, Ross, leave it there. They don't know we're gonna talk about Tesla.
Like, the point being is, you sell the stock and you pay an enormous cost to the government to do that, unless it's in an IRA account. But many of our clients, it's not. And what was taught to me was that with ETFs, I could have taken that same gain and done what is similar in America. We call it a 1031 exchange in real estate, where you exchange an asset for another asset, and then you defer the taxes on it. Now, you can do it in real estate, but you can't do it in stocks. But they allow it within ETFs. Now I was like, what? Like, I can get rid of my gains, and this is huge. This is
so I'll pause you for a second just to explain to the Israeli viewers, because the tax system is a bit different. So in the US, in order to do what Ross just explained, if I had the same stocks underneath an ETF, I would pay whether it's capital gains or whatever, I would pay taxes. When an ETF does that, it takes the value that was created, and now they have more money, and instead of paying tax over it, they can now invest it in different companies that have better run rate in front of them and can accelerate the gain. Like,
so you essentially never sell
reinvest your dividends or something like that. Yeah, go ahead. So Ross.
Yeah, you're kind of trading a stock for a stock,
exactly,
instead of selling it. So this is a U.S. tax quirk that only is for ETFs, and ETFs have always been set up as passive investment vehicles, meaning when you buy the S&P 500, it's 500 stocks, and they don't switch them. So when they switch them, they switch one here or one there, but there's nobody works at S&P. You know what I mean? They there's no research. They just pick their 500 stocks, and that's the stocks. And so they had this tax advantage to help Vanguard and whatever for the few times they switched to stocks. So then they came out with this active ETF thing. But most of the managers didn't want to do it because you can see all the stocks I own and you can see all my trades.
Yeah.
But I said, who cares? You can see it on the public disclosures I have to disclose anyways, once a quarter. And we don't trade so much that it's like we're giving away some big secret that we own Apple. I'm on TV every day talking about Apple, So it's like, who cares? Like, why not disclose it every day? It's not going to, you don't know what I'm going to do, or you don't know what I'm thinking. So the real, value in my mind was like in what we're going to do, not what we've done. And so why wouldn't we just keep that fully transparent? So I was perfectly comfortable being fully transparent, which most people in my industry are not. For various reasons, some legit and some not. So we just decided to do it. We're one of the only companies doing this. We're probably the first. So ARK was one of the first to have a fully transparent ETF. They've been very successful with their model. Also, fellow Tesla investors. And Kathy kind of paved the way of like, hey, you can build an ETF company and tell everybody what you're doing, and that's fine. And then now we're number 2. And then a friend of mine, Gary Black, just started an active ETF as well. He's a great manager. And now all of a sudden, American funds, one of the biggest in the world, are like, oh, we should do an ETF too. We're huge investors in American funds, and we pay a ton of taxes on these mutual funds every year. And I'm like, the mutual fund structure is antiquated compared to the ETF. Yeah. And so that's why we started the ETF. And then lastly was really to give access to people like yourself, people all over the world, people who just weren't going to use a financial advisor, and wanted to do it themselves, which is about 50 to 60% of people. And it's like, why shouldn't they be able to buy a core growth portfolio? So as you mentioned before, just to finish the thought, is that picking individual stocks and managing money on your own is very hard to do. Now, I absolutely believe that people can do it on their own. I don't think that I have some, like super duper intelligence level that, makes me specialer than you at picking stocks. That's not what I believe at all. I do believe I have some level of inherent talent in the stock market. Like, exactly. I understand the vibes of markets. I was kind of born this way. I don't know. I don't recommend this life. That was the one I was given. But we do a ton of work. That's the bottom line. It's just a ton of work. Every stock that we own, and I own stocks I still have to do tons of work on because they're small positions. I want to know everything about companies we're investing in, and it's just an enormous amount of work. So I think if people have the time and the effort and they want to put a ton of work into investing, they can make money doing this. But if you think you're going to do this and make money consistently not doing the work, that's where you're fooling yourself. You're delusional, because the stock market takes from the stupid and it gives to the smart. And so, you know, it's not a fun place for the inexperienced and the amateurs. And yeah, we all get that 1 year that everybody thinks is great because everything goes up, but it's 1 year. And, you know, I'm on my 28th season, you know, as a pro. Yeah. And I can tell you some of the seasons are tough, you know, it's not that easy. It's really hard. So when it's actually really easy, I'm nervous, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of like it when it's tougher.
When the top search on Google is Bitcoin, you know you should sell. Yeah, and we talked about it on a few videos.
Just be cautious.
Be cautious is the
better.
You
don't leverage up. You know, like,
yeah, I agree.
People leverage up because they're on a roll and they're like, oh, it's rolling. Yeah. You know, you got to be more cautious when you're winning. You know?
And Ross yesterday had a live stream covering, and probably when you're seeing the video, it might be 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So it was, let's go to the date. It was September 8th. And he went through all the portfolio or all the companies underneath the ETF. I really recommend everyone that wants to understand different sectors and markets just to go see. It's on Gerber Kawasaki's YouTube page. You can go see it. I spent an hour and a half and I said, okay, basically I don't even need to interview. I'll just put the video on and say, okay, Ross, tell us about the ETF, and everything's there. So I recommend all the viewers. So before we dive into specific companies, specific stocks, we talked about the stock market. Let's talk about crypto. I'm a huge bull on DeFi and crypto. I understand the value, but again, going back to the fear, there's a lot of fear. When El Salvador adopts that as a tender, and yeah, there's a lot of criticism, or, you know, good and bad. Everyone can explain, or main media would explain that, oh my God, that's the end of everything. Don't buy crypto, run away. There's a saying in an article that Bitcoin equals shitcoin. And, you know, if Bitcoin is shitcoin, why should I invest? I think differently. I understand the value of DeFi, but I want to hear again. I'm not a financial advisor. We have two very smart people here on this video. Let's hear you guys out.
I mean, I really feel like, so risk is once again, it's relative to your perception of it, and volatility is different than risk. And if you want a smooth ride, it's not going to be cryptocurrencies because you're an early adopter. You know, this is very early in the ecosystem of crypto. It's, people know about it and people are investing, and it's kind of crypto 2.0 after the first rally. But, you know, most people today, you know, they're just maybe figuring this out. You know, it's still very early, and there aren't very sophisticated financial products. And actually, we're the only RIA I know of where a client can actually just buy their own Bitcoin and have their own Gemini account. Most of the firms that are even doing it, many are trying to do ETFs, which is the worst way to buy cryptocurrencies because you don't even own it. The stupidest way, right? And then, you know, a lot of firms, you don't actually own the crypto. Like if you go to Robinhood, you buy it, you're just buying a number. You don't actually, you can't transfer that Bitcoin. It's not yours.
It's not yours.
But look at it this way. Like, volatility is really what people are scared of. The crash is like being scared of like getting like in a plane accident or a shark attack. A shark attack is like a stock crash, you know? And every time you go to the beach, I go to the beach all the time. You know, Israel's same as California. Yeah. So when you're Israeli, you're kind of like a Californian. That's why Israelis do very well here, because we live on the beach. We're used to the ocean. Think about it. Every time you go to the ocean, you have that friend who's like, oh, I'm worried about a shark. And I'm like, you're worried about a shark? You know, really? I'm like, I'm worried about that homeless guy with the knife. You know, like you're worried about a shark? I'm like, if I saw a shark in the water, I would like be shocked. You know what I mean? Like, wow, there's sea life out here in the dirty bay. You know, I would be excited.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd swim out to the shark. But you know, sharks don't actually eat people. I don't think people know that. So the same holds true with Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is what we invest in and where we're most confident about the future, because we call those the core coins or the blue chip coins, and everything else you do is high risk outside of that. Okay. And so don't be confused. You're an early adapter. It's high risk. We recommend an allocation of 1 to 5% of your assets in cryptocurrencies, depending on your age, your net worth, and your volatility tolerance. You know, okay. So if you are upset when Bitcoin drops 12% in a night, you shouldn't own it.
Yeah,
you are in the wrong game. Okay, you should own a utility. Okay,
and I want to add something to that, which I found recently, which is very funny when I talk to clients. I have clients who are scared of the stock market crashing, but have a lot of their assets in crypto. And somehow they're not afraid of that, even though that thing can move 20% in a day.
Well, you can name this episode People's Misperceptions of
Correct.
Fear.
So to piggyback on that, actually, and going back to all the conversations we've had about market psychology, so my background, my educational background is actually not in finance. I actually have a master's in psychology.
He's actually the firm's psychologist.
But yeah, I have several roles in them. Chief
no, this is a real role he plays.
But really, this is what I talk to a lot of my clients about, is the perception of reality. Like, how can you claim to be risk averse if 20% of your net worth is in Bitcoin and it just went down 15%? So challenging people's own viewpoints. A lot of times, you know, when people are scared of the stock market, when people are scared of crypto, it's number one, it usually stems from a period of uneducation, of not understanding what the underlying asset actually is and does. Most people think stocks are just numbers on a screen. They don't really understand that you're actually buying businesses. And sometimes you can't expect to make money on a business in 2 months. Or they don't.
Yeah, I'm going to get rich in 2 months.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
Right. And how many people, like, if you actually sat down with them and tried to have them explain what actually cryptocurrencies are, what the blockchain is, very few of them actually understand what it is. So in the journey in our financial planning process is this education, is this questioning of their beliefs and educating them on what's actually happening. And what I like to always say is have them come up with their own answer. And generally speaking, they'll be much more comfortable investing in those assets if they have sort of come up with a philosophy on their own.
And I also think people, you know, like they're scared of these crashes because of their financial fragility, you know, sort of like, oh, I'll lose all my money again, you know. And when I started in the business, when I was a kid, and I saw like an old client, they had memories of the Great Depression. You know, like if you saw a 75-year-old person when 1994, when I started in 95, you know, they have these weird memories. And I'd be like, you know, that was like when you were like 12, you know, like you're still conservative about money from
it's
because
tattooed.
people were so scarred by the experience. Now, so what I try to remind people was that experience is what created all the securities laws that we have today to prevent it. So after the financial crisis, they made all these new laws to prevent that, and they've worked, actually. So the Securities Act of 1933 and the Investment Advisors Act 1940, as well as the Dodd-Frank in the post-financial crisis era, have been very successful. And if you wonder why markets have higher valuations today than they have in the past, is because of investor protections. And this is something I think that many people don't understand fully until they have to file with the SEC, like I do. And you have to literally like give them like part of your arm, you know, like to prove that you're legit. That the US market is the only safe place to invest your money. And when I say safe, there are still a lot of bad companies that shouldn't even be trading, like Nikola, for example, or Lordstown. There's tons of scams out there still. But for investors who want to buy a good company like Microsoft, there is no safer place to do that than the United States. In the U.S. market system, and companies like Microsoft are run in a way, they're trillion-dollar companies that are for the benefit of their shareholders, and the amount of protections there are for investors is enormous. So even if economies go into recessions and markets go down, these are the companies that survive and do better. So the most important thing people worry about, if they're going to worry about, is their job. It's their job. The issue isn't their portfolio, because if they're correctly financial planning, they should have emergency money. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Your portfolio goes up or down. Like, you know, you shouldn't even look at it that much, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you are properly financially planning, the only thing that matters is what job do I have? Can I make more money doing it? And what do I need to do to make more money in my job? You know, like further education, better skill set, more expertise in an area, because that's where you get the money to invest. It's from your job. And so the most important thing that people worry about isn't the financial crisis or this or that may or may have the shark that'll eat them. What they got to worry about is what I do for a living. And is this a good job to have? And I'll give you an example. In today's day and age, because of COVID, the entire ecosystem of labor has changed, you know, and jobs that used to be decent are now bad. And some jobs that used to not be so great are now great, you know? And so like all of a sudden, if you're the guy who, let's say, services the internet access for people, you know, like if your internet's down, nobody can function. That's a good job. You know, I want to be a specialist in telecommunications, you know, like everybody needs me there, you know. But if I'm if I'm a guy who likes to run restaurants, this is a very tough business moving forward. Very, very bad business. And you might figure out a way to make this work, but I'm just sad to say this will not be a great business to be in. You have to really love it, because it's just the way things are changing. It's just not great. And so like you have to look at what you do for a living, and that's the skill sets that you need to focus on if you really want to do well as a person. And then your investments will do fine. And when the market goes down, or even better yet, crashes, and you have money, that's how you get rich. So whether it sucks going through it, but if you have money when things go bad, boy, you can make a lot of money. So it's, you know, it's financial planning that matters and takes away the insecurity of what happens if it crashes. Right. It's the people who are fully exposed to risk who worry the most. And that's, I think, what we try to do is build financial security. It's not really about how much money I can make you in 2 months, for example. It's how do I build your financial security so it doesn't matter what happens.
And you've mentioned Apple and Microsoft. We're not going to talk about them. We're actually going to talk about a company that I think we all share our excitement, at least the three of us. I'm not sure all the thousands of viewers on this channel, all of them share the same excitement, but at least two. I don't know, Eyal, what you're driving, but I know that Ross has the new Tesla S Plaid, and I have a Model Y, which I posted a video on.
I got the Y, but I have the Y, but I'm proud to say that I was the first Tesla owner in our company.
That's true.
Oh, excellent. So all three of us are Tesla owners and probably Tesla investors at this time, at least, if not years ago. Let's talk about Tesla, because I think it goes back to the bubble. It goes back to evaluation. I have my own opinion, which I share on the channel, but I would love to hear your opinion. So I'll give you the two sides, right? There's the ones that understand the vision, that say, look, whether it's today or 2025, it'll be $3,000, maybe $4,000 pre another split or something like that, maybe even $10,000 in 2030, because it's growing rapidly. We just saw the China numbers yesterday or the day before. You know, when everyone's crying chip shortage, Tesla is just expanding more and more factories. So
well, they still have the issues though, but
yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. We can talk about that.
If I told you what Tesla was doing right now, you'd laugh. Because I
believe that a year or 2 years from now, when we'll look back and it's just like the Dieselgate, when we'll find out that everyone was just fooling us. But
no, there's really a chip shortage, but Tesla has to deal with it too. They're just much more innovative than the other players, you know?
Yeah, so that's one side. When we're going to talk about that side, I'll love to hear your thoughts. But there's the other side that says, oh, I'm not investing in a 300 PE multiple. Yeah. I don't get it. You know, they're all driving Teslas, but they're saying, I don't get it. And so that's the other, so that's the other side. And, you know, in this channel, we try to bring both sides because, you know, you got to respect their opinion, whether you agree to that or not. So I'd love to hear both your thoughts on Tesla, both as owners, of course, and as investors, mainly as investors, later on as owners, because I don't know a Tesla owner that doesn't love their car. So owners, I think that.
Ross, have you ever had to battle a Tesla bear before? I think it's okay.
I won't bring Gordon on this show. Don't worry, Gordon's not going to be on our show.
Well, I don't think Gordon wants to be on with me. I don't have patience for Gordon anymore, which is why they won't put me on CNBC, because they put Gordon on and they have to put somebody who's going to be nicer to him.
Exactly.
And, you know, so my whole thing, and I think there's legitimate bear arguments, you know, and we can make them all day. So if I'm a bear now, it's a really hard argument. If I was a bear when there were a lot of bears, it was a really legitimate argument. Okay. They can't scale. Elon's crazy, blah, blah, blah. That was all legit. That was all legit in 2018, you know, when things were tough. But they bet against the wrong person. They bet against Elon Musk. I'm doing a documentary on Elon that they're interviewing me on Monday. Walter Isaacson's writing a book on Elon's
biography.
Okay. Now, Elon and I are the same age. We went to the same college at the same time. He lived 2 blocks away from me.
Really?
Never met him. We've been on the earth the same amount of time. I feel like I've had a long, fulfilling life so far. And I look at what he's accomplished in his life as a business person, and it's beyond belief. You know, I consider myself successful, and I'm not in a game of competition with the biggest innovator of our time, but I know a biggest innovator of our time when I see one. And so when I met Elon, and actually my parents met Elon long ago during a SpaceX tour for NASA, because my stepfather was doing some work for the government for NASA, and he went and met, and they had dinner with Elon when this was before NASA gave SpaceX the contract to build stuff and really started SpaceX's ride. And my stepfather was a part of that. And they said, we met this guy named Elon Musk, and he's a genius beyond belief, and you got to follow this guy. And I started following Tesla. Their first store was in Santa Monica. So I would see these little crappy roadsters around, you know, and I was like, no way I'm buying that little thing. I was driving like a sweet Porsche or an Aston Martin or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I love cars. And, but my mom was like, you got to pay attention to this guy. And my mom's really good at this stuff. Yeah. So I started paying attention to Elon, and what people have to accept as investors is that you invest in people. So if you invest in Gerber Kawasaki, like my firm, you're investing in me and my management team and our vision. Okay. And that may be a great bet, maybe a bad bet. You got to know the people involved. The people are a key to success in any stock or any investment. The people. Okay. You know, the greatest product in the world, and the worst management. It's kind of like Peloton right now, you know, great product, great service. The management keeps screwing up. Okay. And it's just, they're real screw ups, you know? So the bear case in Tesla doesn't really exist any longer because they got past the stage that legitimately was an existential chance of their failure. And now that they have $18 billion in the bank and they're profitable and they're on the cutting edge of every major innovation that will affect us over the future, I think the bear case is really tough to make. You can talk about valuations and say it's high, which is true. But, you know, that's life. I mean, you know, you had a chance to buy it cheap 3 years ago when everybody hated it, but that's not the way it works in the stock market. You have, so if you buy it today, and I'm all for people buying it today at 750, but you have to think long term. You're not thinking, oh, Tesla's going to rally to 1,000 by tomorrow. No, you got to buy it at 750, say in 5 years, where is this going to be? It's going to be $3,000 according to Kathy Woods. And you know, I'm not going to bet against her. You know, like I used to make fun of her $5,000 price target until it hit it. You know, I was like, I was at 1,000. She was at 5,000. I thought, you know, and I use cannabis, you know, and I'm like, she definitely doesn't use cannabis. She's coming up with like,
maybe she does,
way higher price targets, you know, than I've ever seen, you know. So I don't bet against Kathy, you know. Fortunately, we're both long Tesla, so I don't have to bet against Kathy. So the bear case is a real tough one. The bull case is this. When Steve Jobs created the iPod Nano, I had no idea that they would create an iPhone. And when Steve Jobs created the iPhone, I had no idea that he would create the iPad. But if you think about how consequential all these innovations were, they were huge. But when I invested in Apple, I had no idea any of it would ever happen. Wasn't even in my mind. It was amazing innovation to put 100 songs on a little stick I could listen to.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you invest in Tesla today and you're looking at valuations and you're worried about PE ratios, he just launched a fucking robot. So if you thought that I thought he was going to bring out a fucking robot, no way. So I email Tesla because I'm like, all right, guys, a robot? Like, where are you building the robot, Tesla? You know, like, what are you going to do? Have this robot, you know, like, soft?
Well, I have the use case. It's an easy use case.
Oh, yeah, because labor's expensive in California and everybody has 100 rules and rights.
Even easier.
Much rather have robots.
Even easier than that. You know, if I have a restaurant, you talked about restaurant, and I have delivery. I have Uber Eats, I have DoorDash, I have all these guys.
I'm thinking like dishwashing robot, you know.
I have a robo-taxi coming in. The robot comes out, takes the whatever meals there is, drives to my house.
Oh, I don't think you'll need a robot for that. The car will do all.
No, but someone needs to do the last mile.
Oh, like
so to get out of the car and bring you the bag. Exactly, bring you the bag. So that's what the robot's going to do.
There's literally a million jobs.
Skills, nothing.
Yeah, there's a million jobs this robot could replace for sure. Because if you could do full self-driving, you can do a robot. That's easy.
That's easy.
Really hard to drive in LA. Like insanely hard to drive in Manhattan. Like it's literally insane. Okay. So if I can get a car to drive in Manhattan, I can get a robot to wash dishes or to like hammer stuff or whatever, you know? So like, so I said, you know, where are you building the robot? Like, you know, like you don't have any room to build a robot anywhere. You don't have a robot factory. So why are you putting out robots, you know? And they're like, we're going to have a prototype next year and we're going to find a production line for it once we get a prototype working. And I'm like, they're serious. Yeah. They're serious. So
they need to meet the demand of the Model Y first.
They're trying to do that now.
Who coaches my daughter's soccer team with me? He ordered a Tesla maybe 3-4 months ago, a Model Y. He saw mine. He said, I got to have the same thing. He ordered a blue one. He's still waiting 4 months later because not because of chip shortage, because everyone ordered a Model Y. They need to expand their factories.
The demand's off the charts. It's off the charts now. And they're expanding the factory in Fremont. That just came out. Texas, you know, that's why they delayed Cybertruck because they're like, why even worry about this when we've got to get Model Y lines up as soon as possible? And that will produce the revenue. They can worry about the truck. That'll be next. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so like Texas comes online and then Berlin right after, right? So they double production in another year or two, you know? So then they go to like 2 million cars in 2 years. You know, you start extrapolating out revenue, 2 million cars at 50,000 average, 2 years, you know, so now I'm at 100 billion revenue and that doesn't include energy and all these other divisions,
solar and all that.
And this and that. And you're like, wow, you know, it's $1 trillion company. So Tesla's cheap.
Yeah. So Tesla hired more people for the solar thing now.
So like oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I don't look at valuations based off the past 4 quarters. I look at valuations over the next 5 years. Yep. Like what's going to happen over the next 5 years. Now, it's hard to extrapolate out 5 years from now where the world's going to be. But we know because of climate, which is one of our main themes as an investment firm, that this has to happen or we're all going to die.
Us or our kids. One generation or another, it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to be our kids. I think it's going to be us. I think if I live to 100, okay, in 50 years, if we don't do anything, you think that climate's not going to be wiping out people left and right?
Probably will.
Already is. How many people suffered because of this Ida that just went through? You know,
I just had next door neighbor, their basement flood. The other neighbor has Porsche and Ferrari. Water all the way to the roof. Both cars.
A building in Florida just fell to the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, speaking of Florida,
a lot of people died.
The sea level in Miami has risen 6 inches in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And soon it's going to happen in Manhattan.
You should see these houses in Malibu. You know, they're trying to sell these beach houses in Malibu for $25 million with the stilts right in the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to be out of your mind.
That's a bad investment for sure.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, last question before we wrap up, and then we kind of talk about what will be our next kind of thoughts and things that we want to do together. Is quickly 3-5. You want to say top investments that you invested in for the next 3 to 5 years, whether it's sectors, whether it's we didn't talk about batteries and things like that. So this is
let's just talk about that broadly. Let's talk about that broadly. So. We mentioned climate. So, Biden just said we're trying to get to 40% solar in the next 15 years. And obviously all of that's possible if the government helps. And so investing in climate related solutions or climate technology is a must. So we are thematic investors, and this is one of our major themes. It's just the bottom line, whether you like it or not, is there's going to be like billions and billions of dollars invested in climate solutions, from EV in the transportation and energy. Okay. And that goes around battery storage, for example, cell production, which we have exposure in our fund to. So it's super important for investors to look at this theme, because it's going to be not only pushed by governments, but also incredibly profitable for the players as we move from a fossil fuel infrastructure to an electric infrastructure. And the best part is, for all of you in Israel, is there's nothing worse for our enemies than moving away from a fossil fuel world. There's nothing worse for our enemies. So you should be supporting Tesla. You should be supporting solar. It's hot as heck in Israel. Solar makes sense in Israel. It's just a no-brainer. And then you don't have to buy gas and oil from other people. We were the only people in the Middle East that didn't get oil. It's like the only place, and everybody wants to take Israel. Like, we can't even have our 6 miles, but we didn't get any oil. Okay. We got a nice little beach. And a lot of bad neighbors.
Since the 70s, man, they've been using solar. I
know, because it just makes sense. Like, Israel should be completely renewable energy, like 100%. Just like Israel was an innovator with the vaccine by just like getting everybody to the vaccine, 100%. The only problem was they did it too soon, right? And now everybody had to do it again. But it works. And like, so when you think about innovation, Israel has this opportunity to lead it, and climate is number one. Second is technology and AI and fintech, which we brought up.
Yeah.
I've always been an investor in technology. I always believe if you're a U.S. investor, you have to have a big weighting to technology. That's what we're best at in America. It's also something they're great at in Israel. We have a position in Solar Edge, for example. It's a wonderful opportunity. Solar Edge is technology, it's Israel, and it's solar. So we own that position in our fund. And I think it's one of the best Israeli companies out there. Really capable people running that company. So when you look at technology from the fintech perspective, I think this is an area of huge potential growth. So maybe you're scared of Bitcoin, fine, but buy stock in Square, PayPal, and Coinbase, which gives you exposure to the entire ecosystem that's being built around cryptocurrencies. We have that exposure in our fund. It's about 6% of our assets in what we call the new financials, or fintech, because we don't own traditional banks because they stink. So that area, being involved, investing in technology, AI through Google and Tesla, as well as fintech through these names. So that theme, I think, is just huge, and it's the biggest allocation we have and one of the most consequential. And then the third area is healthcare. It's not really my favorite place to invest, but with biotech and the convergence of technology, genetics, and healthcare, amazing things are happening. When the coronavirus hit, it really exposed the weaknesses of our systems in dealing with massive health crises and the aging of our population. And so we're invested not only in vaccine makers like Moderna, because we feel that mRNA technology is a massive breakthrough in potentially solving many things, genetic testing, as well as coronavirus testing through a company called Fulgent Genetics, as well as TMO and Illumina, Thermo Fisher, which are involved with genetic machinery and equipment and things like that. So we're very invested in this genetic and testing and biotech era, and we're looking to expand our investments in this area as time goes on, because the costs and needs of our healthcare system continue to just grow and grow and grow as our populations age, and also these challenges we face. So healthcare and biotechnology is another area that's growing in the fund. It's a major part of the fund, but that people should really pay attention to for long-term growth and opportunity.
To add to that, Ross, I really do feel like, we've had these conversations before, that this era of biotech with mRNA, with genomics, is really kind of like almost like in the 80s, 70s, and 80s when personal computing really became a thing. So the era of the personal genetic computing, the personal biotech computing, I think is starting when we've learned so much about the genomic sequencing and the codes and CRISPR and all this kind of stuff, that I think over the next 10 to 20 years, we're just going to see just an explosion of technology coming into the space.
And how the power of computing and the merger of genetics with computing with actual real application within humans, and what we learned with mRNA is we can build immunotherapies or potentially drugs specific to each human. Maybe it's dealing with cancers, low-level cancers and things like that. But, you know, there's the potential to have massive health breakthroughs. You know, in America, the two leading causes of death are heart disease and cancer. And heart disease, a lot of that is from obesity and really personal health decisions, which can be prevented. And then cancer, a big chunk of that is related to cigarettes, which is sort of self-created. And then you have all these other cancers that are mostly genetic. And so when you apply genetics to this challenge, I think we're going to get much better solutions than we have today for dealing with different cancers, and much less invasive and difficult on people. So I think we're about to begin this era.
Yeah, and it seems that it's going that route, definitely. So before I thank you, I would love to have or both of you, it can be Eyal, it can be Ross, it can be Eyal and Ross, to more of these shows to expose more and more of my viewers. And I hope you guys will take this opportunity and kind of expose not only what Gerber Kawasaki does as a wealth management, but also from, like we say, democratizing, or the way, you know, you pronounce it in the right way, knowledge. Because as people know more, their investment becomes smarter. You don't just chase companies that maybe did a great job last year, but this year they're bad companies. So if you guys would like to join me on this task, having more episodes like that, that would be great. Sorry putting you on the spot on that, but
no, for sure. And we wanted to do this in Hebrew as well with Eyal, because we want to also, you know, speak people's language. But you know, you talked a lot about fear and how many Israelis, you know, are scared of the markets and bad experiences they've had. But I really want to leave you with this thought. When you open the paper every day, you will never see a positive article. Okay. In the old days, when the stock market made new highs, there would be headlines. Stock market makes new highs. There has not been one day that I have seen that on a major newspaper in the United States.
That's true.
Stock market rally to new highs. It's always the negative. Every story is the negative. The bears, the this, the that. The news people can't sell a thing around the positive. They have to fudge you to death, scare you to death every day you open the paper. So what I recommend to everybody is to read less news from traditional sources. Get on YouTube, get on Twitter, find real sources that you trust directly, and follow those people. That's how you get news. You do not get news from watching traditional news sources anymore. You get some weird version of reality, but it's not reality.
Yeah. And Micha, happy to do this with you on a recurring basis. Obviously, we want to do some of it in Hebrew. As an American Israeli or Israeli American, depending on how you want to phrase it, I'll probably go back and forth between Hebrew and English.
That's fine.
As I have my whole life. When I speak to my parents, it's always half
like my Spanish. Yeah.
No, I bet my Hebrew is a little bit better than yours.
I hope it's better.
I did learn Hebrew first.
No, I said that he learned Hebrew first. At least when I talked to him a few days ago.
Yeah. It was actually my first language. It was my first language, but obviously, I wasn't educated in Hebrew, so conversationally, I'm great. But if it's super high level stuff, I'm not as good.
Well, you better start practicing, Eyal.
After a few conversations, Ross, there'll be lessons in the office.
That's why we wanted to do this. Is we want to support this education and an opportunity for people who speak Hebrew or not to get better information about the stock market. So thank you for doing this and having us on the show as well.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
I can send it to all my friends and family in Israel.
Yeah, and to anyone that wants to kind of deep dive in, This is Gerber Kawasaki's website. You're, of course, more than invited. I'm sure Ross and Eyal would be more than accommodating to your questions. So, again, thank you. Let me pull this back up. Not this one. This one. Thank you very, very much for, you know, the opportunity to hear your thoughts, to hear different people than myself on the show, or different clips that I take from media outlets, this or that. Thank you very, very much. I'm sure the viewers, I'll thank you instead of them, because they're going to see it probably tomorrow or 2 days. And I'm going to have two versions, by the way. I'm going to have this version, which is unedited, and I'm going to have a different version where I'm going to basically explain what you guys said, but in Hebrew. So there's going to be two versions of the video. So I have a lot of work ahead of me, but I believe that having it both in English and Hebrew would help more people to be exposed to the great conversation we just had. So again, thank you very much.
Great.
We should all have a Shana Tova.
Yes.
A great new year.
A great new year.
Of course, we will be in touch in the next episodes that will start running here on the channel. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Have a great day.
Bye.